Welcome to Cozy Noah Vibes, where we relax, unwind, and drift off to sleep together. I'm your host, Noah, and I appreciate you joining me tonight. This evening's story takes us back to Emma's adventures as she explores lighthouses along the coast of Maine. Tonight's story is written by Alicia and narrated by Abby. Given that today is International Women's Day, we thought it would be fitting to have Emma sit by the fireplace and reminisce about the stories of brave female lighthouse keepers. I hope you enjoy this story, and I wish everyone a happy International Women's Day. Now, let's make sure we're comfortable and ready to listen to the story. As we gradually prepare for a restful night, make yourself as cozy as possible. Adjust your position, and if you need to, pull up the covers to ensure you're warm and snug. Once you're comfortable, start focusing on your breathing, gently drawing air into your lungs, and then slowly exhaling. If you can, try breathing in and out through your nose, focusing on the sensation at the tip of your nose. Notice the coolness of the air as it passes through your nostrils. Then feel how it becomes slightly warmer as you breathe out. Enjoy the coolness of the inhale and the warmth and comfort of the exhale. Your body is very quick and efficient at warming the air as it passes through your nose and into your lungs. A few seconds later, when you exhale, you can feel the result of that process as the air becomes warmer. So continue breathing slowly and steadily, noticing the transition from cool to warm. Now, I'd like you to imagine a cozy cottage nestled on a large estate. March's weather is unpredictable, and you're ready to spend a warm evening by the fire. This is where our story begins. Emma pushed open the door of her little cottage, closing it tightly behind her to keep out the howling wind. She wiped the water droplets off her rain boots, carefully placed her dripping umbrella on the rack, and then sighed as she removed her raincoat. She pushed back her wind-blown hair and set her small shopping bag on the kitchen counter. People often say that March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb, she thought, reflecting on Mother Nature's unpredictable ways. It was the perfect time to hunker down and spend a cozy evening indoors, and Emma wasn't planning on venturing out again. She set the toaster oven to preheat on the kitchen counter, and then made her way through the simple living room and into her bedroom. Once there, she happily changed out of her wet clothes and into her favorite flannel pajamas. Sitting on the edge of the bed, she slipped on her warmest woolen socks, sighing with contentment as she stretched her feet out in front of her. After a long day, it felt so good to take off her shoes. Emma sat for a moment in the warm glow of her bedside lamp, taking in the cozy atmosphere of her room. She had been fortunate over the years to rent this charming carriage house, located next to a historic estate, which served as a perfect retreat for writing her book about Maine's lighthouses. The little house was small, tidy, and full of character. Her landlord lived nearby in a grand old house, which made for an ideal rental arrangement. She had the independence of a private home without the hassle of maintenance. Her bedroom was sweet and cozy, The carriage house had long since been converted into a living space, with charming hardwood floors, a compact kitchen, and even a fireplace in the living room. Emma would sometimes gaze out the kitchen window by the counter, lost in thought as she admired the view of the estate's gardens. It was a bit like something out of a fairy tale. Feeling content, Emma tiptoed across the floor back to the kitchen. She took out a box of takeout macaroni and cheese from her shopping bag, peeled off the plastic lid, and placed it in the toaster oven. She set it to slowly heat, allowing the cheese on top to form a delicious crust. Real macaroni and cheese was worth the wait. The fireplace had long been converted to gas flames, so with a flick of a switch, she enjoyed the warmth of a cozy fire. She walked over to her book bag hanging on the coat rack, opened it, and took out a few notebooks and a pen. She had a bit of work to do tonight, with International Women's Day approaching. Emma's friend, a history teacher, had invited her to speak at a local high school. Knowing that Emma was a lighthouse expert, her friend asked if she had any stories about female lighthouse keepers. Emma thought it was a great question and immediately agreed to prepare a talk. Having spent the past year immersed in lighthouse history, she saw this as a fantastic opportunity to give those overlooked women their due recognition. The only challenge was deciding which female lighthouse keepers to highlight. There were so many to choose from. Emma settled into her favorite soft armchair, propped her feet up on the velvet ottoman, and opened her notebook, flipping through her research. Her first thought was that she really had to start with Catherine Walker, the woman who tirelessly tended the Robbins Reef Lighthouse in New York Harbor. To fully appreciate Mrs. Walker's determination, it was essential to start with her background. Unlike many women who eventually took over lighthouses, Catherine Walker wasn't born into a lighthouse keeping family. In fact, she wasn't even born in the United States. At the age of 37, in 1882, she left Germany and immigrated to America with her young son, Jacob. Initially, she found work as a cook in a boarding house in New Jersey, where she met a guest, John Walker, keeper of the Sandy Hook Lighthouse. John began teaching her English, and the two became close friends, eventually marrying, and Catherine moved in with him at Sandy Hook. It was here that Catherine Walker first learned the duties of a lighthouse keeper, around the age of 40. Not long after, in 1885, Captain Walker was reassigned to the Robbins Reef Lighthouse, located about a mile north of Staten Island. Unlike Sandy Hook, Robbins Reef was more isolated, perched on a submerged reef. The new station deeply unsettled her. She later said, "When I first came to Robbins Reef and looked around at the water, I felt very lonely. I at first refused to unpack my trunks, but little by little, I unpacked them, and finally, I unpacked them all and decided to stay." Soon after, she gave birth to a daughter named Mary, and the family of four settled in for the long haul at this solitary lighthouse station. Emma paused, reflecting on Catherine's words. She was impressed by the woman's steadfast resolve. A widow, mother, and immigrant, she took on the job at hand, found a fitting career, and embraced the isolation of this remote lighthouse station. Her determination was strong, but her endurance was also tested. In 1890, John Walker passed away after a lengthy illness. It was said that his last words to his wife were, "Mind the light, Kate." Emma smiled, feeling that Catherine seemed like the type who didn't need to be reminded to do such things. Naturally, she took over John's duties entirely while raising their two children. Though she was gaining plenty of experience on the job, her superiors doubted that a woman could handle the work. She flawlessly tended the lighthouse while they continued searching for a suitable male replacement. But after a few years, they finally admitted defeat. In 1895, Catherine Walker was officially appointed as the keeper of the Robbins Reef Lighthouse. Emma knew from her extensive research that the actual work of tending the light was just the beginning of a keeper's responsibilities. Catherine was quoted as saying that taking care of a lighthouse was more work than raising children. "You can't coax a lighthouse," she said, "but you can coax a child." Emma wrote, during her long career, she earned two nicknames. She gave herself the nickname Little Keeper. After her death, local mariners gave her another one, the Iron Woman of Robbins Reef. This woman climbed the lighthouse tower spiral stairs 3 times a day, lit the flame, cleaned and maintained the glass, and even made her own boat fittings. She did it all, even in the bitter cold of winter, never shirking her duties. By 1919, she had served in this position for 30 years until she died at Robbins Reef. When she passed away, her body was found alongside her cats. Her death prompted widespread mourning, with a local newspaper describing her as not large in stature, but a hero nonetheless. Emma found this story particularly touching. Could she use such a moving tale to engage a group of teenagers? She hoped so.